Hello and welcome back to The Neutral Take. I'm your host, Tony George-Owens, and I am with the Nomad Travelling Writer, as always, Mr. Jonathan Kovacs. Say hello, Johnny.
Hello.
Hello. Well, we have had a bit of a hiatus for a couple of weeks, and as you see, a few things have changed. I've had a few upgrades, but more importantly, Johnny has escaped from the Argentinian government and has fled to mainstream Europe. Where are you now, Johnny? Do you not want to say because of security implications?
My location needs to be kept confidential, so I cannot disclose anything at this stage.
Mum's the word. Mum's the word. We'll just say he's in somewhere in Europe, which works better for us recording videos because we can actually not have to be up at stupid o'clock anymore. But it's all good. He's not really escaped the Argentinian government. Please don't write in and complain. He is not on the run. I'm 90% sure he's not on the run. Anyway, we are back, and we're back with a vengeance. So we are going to look at Andor, the final end of season review for that, which Johnny is going to take the lead on. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Witcher controversy and Mr. Henry Cavill in Warhammer, which has just recently been announced. All right, so let's get on with it, with the Andor end of season review. So, Johnny, you have watched Andor. You're up to date on the Witch controversy and everything that's going on with Henry Cavill. So, what do you make of all this? Probably starting with Andor.
We'll start with that since season one has concluded. And yeah, I must say, despite the very slow start, the show has grown on me. And the thing that has baffled everyone who's given up on Star Wars a long time ago. Um, the show is the complete antithesis to the usual Disney sludge, and it shows that Star Wars can be told in a very mature, grounded, and slower paced way without the need for lightsabers or Skywalker cameos or cute merchandising ads like Baby Yoda,
No, no.
which I like, but it's very much a nice break, and it shows the gritty side of life in the galaxy as well as the high life in Coruscant, which is very cool. And this is personified in a relative of Mon Mothma, who we first see in dirty clothes on a mission, and then watch her in elegant clothing walking the halls of expensive houses. It's a wonderful dichotomy of a rebel spy's life, and it's nice to see that contrast. And I would say throughout for the whole season, the heist and the prison break are the highlights for sure, and they are tense, man, like amazing. And it's always great to see Andy Serkins, even in a side role. It's just amazing, right? Um, in terms of performance, another highlight is Stellan Skarsgård with a brilliant performance of a man with a double life and an amazing monologue about what the rebellion has cost him. This is like, wow, good writing. Like that monologue. Um, if you don't watch the whole show, you should watch that monologue. It's so good. Um, yeah, strangely enough, and maybe unintentionally genius, is that Andor, while he's the main protagonist, isn't overly charismatic. I mean, he's likable, but in the end, he's a canvas on which the rebel cause is played out. So we all know he's ruthless. We see it, and we know he'll die in Rogue One after a successful mission. He's just in the end a soldier, a spy, one of many who came and went, which is kind of interesting. I mean, Diego Luna does a good job, but so I don't know if this was intentional or not, but he's not too deeply shown because I think he doesn't have to be, right? He's a tool for the rebellion, which is an interesting take on all this. It's not a classical hero story, which is a nice break again. So all in all, the show makes clear that if capable people, emphasis on capable, are involved and identity politics are put on the back burner, good storytelling is possible, even at Disney. It also raises the question if Disney will listen and try more grounded and thought out stories like Andor. I personally doubt it, but we'll see, I guess. I mean, season two will happen, but I'm afraid that Andor has not gained that much attention because there's just so much out there, and it's like too late. It's such a brilliant show. It should have been the first Star Wars show to come out in Disney Plus. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and if maybe future Star Wars properties will adapt some of the style. Who knows?
That's pretty interesting stuff. It does sound. The more I talk through it with you, the more I kind of really want to watch it. But I've got so much on like to watch at the moment. It's unbelievable. That I really need to catch up on. But I think it's definitely now going to be on my list. But I'm going to put you on the spot here because we sometimes script parts of these, but you don't know about this. So I'm gonna pressure you for a score, and it's going to be the official score of us because I've not seen it yet. But again, it sounds like something that I'm quite interested in, and I'm very with you. I'm kind of they've got things like the Mandalorian, which has got all the merchandising and all that usual Disney sort of caliber thing going through it. But it offers something different for the Star Wars universe, like you said. No lightsabers, no big flying epics in X-wings or anything like that. So it sounds to me quite interesting. But yes, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask for a score. Bearing in mind our previous scores, well, we know where Lord of the Rings and She-Hulk ended up versus Game of Thrones, which is our top tier at the moment. So yes, what would you score it?
It's a bit difficult because, as others reviewers have mentioned, if you just look at the show in itself, it's a different story compared to when you compare the show to the other Star Wars properties on Disney Plus. So, compared to the terrible, terrible shows that came before, you would rate it higher, but just in itself, the beginning is very slow, and there's something with his sister that is completely forgotten after like episode 3. So I don't know if that was intentional or an oversight. So overall, let's give it a 7. I mean, it is very good, but I have to keep in mind that it's by comparison a different show than in itself. So a solid 7, let's say.
I'm happy to hear that. So yeah, solid 7. We've kind of got our first mid-range review or series there. So yeah, that's really cool, really interesting. So yeah, definitely want to check out. According to Johnny, that is Andor on Disney Plus. So we're going to move on now and talk a little bit about Henry Cavill, who was recently axed from being Superman and left The Witcher, which was a passion project for him. So John, what happened?
So what happened is something that's not really surprising, but just a real shame. So according to what you can read online, Cavill left because he was dissatisfied with the direction the showrunners took. So he's a big nerd and a fan of the books and the games, and he wanted the show to stick as closely to the source material as possible. But lo and behold, they didn't, which becomes apparent in season 2. And I guess in season 3 even more, because this is an absolute passion project for Cavill. So the fact that he's leaving of his own accord supports this. Also, a writer with the series said apparently other writers in the writers' room mocked the source material or just disregarded it. So now I'm not going into the whole woke Hollywood thing, but it's clear this is where the problem lies. And it's a shame. It seems Hollywood just can't stick to good source material. They couldn't do it with Halo, not with Rings of Power, not with She-Hulk, and not with The Witcher, which is surprising because they are the games, you have the books, and the author is very much alive and involved to some degree. But yeah, apparently the way they handled it, it just was not the way Cavill envisioned it. And the fans, because the fans want him and they want the show to stick close to the books and or the games. I guess that depends. So season 3 will air next summer with Cavill, and then for season 4 and 5, if those happen, Liam Hemsworth will take over, which is just ridiculous if you look at him. I mean, there's even an online petition urging Netflix to listen to Cavill, but I guess that ship has sailed. Yeah, the showrunners, I guess they have their own vision with the woke agenda to some degree playing a part for sure. Yeah, so I'm very curious for season 3, and then I'll stop watching because let's be honest, it's either him or no one who plays Gerald. So Yeah, that's just really bad because it was really a passion project for him. He really wanted this, and he's perfect for the role, and he really cares about the source material. And what a surprise, Hollywood does not. So, but moving on, also with Cavill, it seems that he will be in a Warhammer project, if the rumors are to be believed. So it shows what a nerd he is. Like, he played World of Warcraft and apparently Warhammer. And I mean, for during the Witcher, he used to send notes to the showrunner about how to depict Geralt, which I guess they didn't like. So make of that what you will. So I don't know how much you know about Warhammer, but it seems perfectly suited for Cavill. I mean, it's a vast, sprawling, and overwhelming setting with hundreds of novels and stories to explore, and tabletop games and computer games. And if a studio manages to set up a well thought out Warhammer cinematic universe, I'm game because it's insane. Like, there's this so-called Black Library, which houses all the novels. So I think it's a publishing branch or whatever. There's just so many stories. I tried to get into it, so it's a bit of a rabbit hole. I at some point I will get back into it, but yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff to do, and cinematically or even for a TV show, there would be a lot of cool material, and Cavill would be well suited to swing an axe or whatever. So yeah, that will be. Let's hope he can do that, and they will stick to the source material because Warhammer has an insanely intense uh, following. So let's see how that goes. Maybe it goes the same way as The Witcher. Let's hope not. But yeah, that's the news on Henry Cavill and fantasy properties.
Yeah. Well, he's a big PC gamer as well, so he's got a big thumbs up from me. I know he loves his custom PCs. For me, I don't know. In the past, when actors have been recast or go to do a different project because there's something else that's come up that they want to do, or have decided not to continue on with the project, but the project's going to continue, so they hire another actor in. In the past, you didn't really have that exposure, and you didn't really hear too much about it other than the announcement that so-and-so's not playing this part anymore, it's now going to be played by so-and-so, and you'd have pretty much the same sort of reaction of some people don't care and will just watch it anyway, regardless, because they like the show, and then the people that will dig deep and try and find out all the dirt and see exactly what's going on. So I'm a little bit on the fence with that because I've not really watched and followed The Witcher, because I've tried a couple of times to get into it, and it's just something about it doesn't seat well with me. I might have to give it another go, because I did the same with Game of Thrones. It took me a good 3 or 4 attempts to get through the first season. So I'm going to have to give it a bit more thought, a bit more of a closer watch. However, totally agree with you on the Warhammer front. He is so right for anything in that. I mean, I painted the models when I was younger, and knew quite a lot of certainly the Warhammer 40,000. I was a Space Marine kind of guy, but I also liked painting the bad guys, because when you got the starter sets, you got a set of either side. So I enjoyed just trying my painting techniques on the bad guys, but really nailing the intricate details on the Space Marines. So I was a Space Marine guy. But yeah, I also collected a few of the books. I haven't got them anymore because they take up space, and like you said, there's a lot. So it will be very interesting. But what is going to be interesting about the whole Warhammer thing is who else they bring alongside him. If they get a decent cast in the sort of main arcs there that they're going to focus on, and then have some. I'd like to see some outsiders, because I'm an outsider. Hello, hint. But yeah, I'd like to see some relatively new up and comers that they kind of trust with maybe a few lines, helping move some story along, and being there for the main sort of scenes. But obviously giving your Henry Cavills and the ilk the main speaking and the main character arc storylines. That's obviously going to be expected with something that is going to have a lot of money thrown at it, because you said, like you say, the fan base there is huge. You've got the tabletop board gamers, you've got the people that just enjoy it for the artwork, people that enjoy the books, the PC gamers, and now console gamers as well, because they're getting some of the newer games. So
Oh,
and,
okay.
and you're getting all of those that kind of combined and cross over. So that's a big demographic to kind of push a series at. So it's very, very interesting to see where they go with it. I think they'll have a fairly sizable budget.
True.
And
And I mean,
yes,
I think the ground is ripe. I mean, fantasy has been very much a part of Hollywood now, and next year there's a Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out that seems to take a very humorous approach, but with is it Chris Pine, like a huge star, and I think other famous people. So if that movie does well or people enjoy it, that opens up the realm even more for some more outlandish project, because Lord of the Rings is very established, Game of Thrones is very established, The Witcher also, but Dungeons and Dragons, that still is reserved for a rather niche audience, at least that
I,
we played. So if that
I
movie
think
does well, yeah.
it's probably opened up more since Stranger Things, because Stranger Things has obviously got that
Yeah.
main sort of linear arc with Dungeons and Dragons, which is the rumors are flying about the final series, saying that is it going to be a five-headed dragon as per the lore of Dungeons and Dragons and all this, that, and the other. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But I think that's kind of opened people's eyes to Dungeons and Dragons because everybody's kind of heard of it, as far as I know, or most people know what Dungeons and Dragons is. It's nerdy, it's geeky, and it was a very select group that played it. And now I think people are more aware of it, may have tried their hand at smaller versions of D&D. But obviously, I think if you're going in for D&D, full D&D, you either go all in and you proper geek out and do like 12, 18, 24-hour tournaments, or you don't do it because it's so deep and again so much lore and literature in it. So it's going to be very interesting how they do that. But I think what you're saying about fantasy is absolutely right. I think since Hollywood in the film genre have moved way over to superheroes and Marvel and DC, which is predominantly, I think it's something ridiculous, like 80% of films that come out now are superhero related films. It's opened the door for TV series to kind of go, well, do you know what? Let's deep dive into things that would have been films, but stretch it out for way more than what it is, and you can actually get more detail out. And I think people are starting to enjoy TV series more because they can go into that kind of fantasy world and not have the restriction of you've got a maximum of 3 hours to cover absolutely everything, which, as we've proven, is quite impossible. With certainly some of the stuff that's out there, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Imagine Game of Thrones being narrowed down into 3 hours, or 3 separate films of 3 hour longs. No, you'd never get it through it all. There'd be so much detail missed. It'd be crap. So I think TV series now are more accepting of that fantasy world, and people kind of want to be in that world. They want to escape the more mundane reality of what is around them, especially after the pandemic and this cost of living crisis. People want that escape, and a series gives them that escape whilst they're at home, and it's more comfortable and it's more relaxing for them. So I think that's the way that it's gone from Hollywood taking over with superhero films. But that's my opinion. But what do you guys think? Has Hollywood favoured superhero films over anything else? I personally think it has. But comment what you think in the sections down below. But I think that is going to do us for our latest video. Thank you very much for watching, if indeed you have. Give us a like, give us a comment on what you think, and don't forget to subscribe and recommend us to friends and family if you think they will enjoy this type of stuff. Thank you for having us back. We will be back with some more videos upcoming. We are looking at something very festive for the festive season, and we are working on some more secret, different style projects that are going to be released hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So from me and Johnny, thank you very much. This has been The Neutral Take. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.